What's up, guys? Will Brooks here from SeoulWeaver.com, coming to you with another quick video about life in Korea. I'm in the process of creating the most extensive piece of content on SeoulWeaver to date right now. It's a 5-part blog post series that I'm calling a 5x20. Once complete, the 5x20 will outline 100 different ways to enjoy the things people like the most about Korea. Right now, I'm working on part 3, which is about people in Korea. And it seemed a little disingenuous or incomplete to go on beyond part 3 without addressing one important topic: the language barrier. The language barrier is that invisible wall that is suddenly erected in between two people who are trying to communicate that don't speak the same language. It's a really frustrating concept because the two people probably want the same thing. One person wants to know where to go, the other person wants to tell them how to get there, but they don't speak the same language, so it creates this super complicated process. Also, my job takes me into a situation where I meet people visiting Korea all the time, and they talk about the language barrier as the one thing that stops them from getting out there and exploring Korea. So I want to talk about the language barrier. I want to talk about a couple of aspects of it, and I want to make a couple of recommendations in dealing with those aspects so you can get over the language barrier and enjoy your time in Korea. First things first, the alphabet. When I talk to people who travel the world and they're Westerners, they talk about how they're more comfortable with the language barrier in Europe than they are here in Asia. I think that can be attributed to the alphabet. There's something about not being able to read a sign, not being able to even know where to start to sound it out. Trying to read Hangul in Korea, which is the Korean alphabet, that's a little tough because you don't know. It looks like hieroglyphics. Hieroglyphics? It looks like hieroglyphics. So you just don't even know where to start. This means you won't be able to read any signs, you won't be able to read any notices, you won't be able to read any directions. Versus in Germany or in Italy, you can find out the word for left and then sound it out when you read it. So my recommendation to get over this is to learn Hangul. Here's the secret: it's shockingly easy. The first year I was here, I took Korean 101. My teacher, on the first day of class, told me, hey, once you guys leave here, you'll be able to read Hangul. And I was like, how long is this class? But she was right, man. Like, it only took me about 45 minutes to really learn how to read Hangul. It was crazy because the language doesn't switch up on you that much. It's made to foster literacy. Here's a little bit of context. Somebody can actually come tell you, hey, you're going to Korea tomorrow morning. Here's a free plane ticket. And you can just learn Hangul on the plane ride over, depending on where you are in the world. It's like one of the most intuitive alphabets out there, and it's very easy to learn. So 45 minutes, that's a real thing. I'll put a couple of links in the description to places that say they can teach you Korean in 40 minutes. Quick caveat, your vocabulary won't get any better. It might get a little bit better because you'll be reading new words, but you won't know Korean. You'll be able to sound things out, but you could be reading I like kissing donkeys, but you wouldn't know because you don't know the words for kissing, donkeys, like, and I. But you'll be a lot more comfortable because you'll immediately go from illiteracy to literacy. So that's my number one suggestion to being more comfortable with the language barrier in Korea. The second aspect is actually speaking Korean. Now, if you're not going to be here for a long time, this may not be an option for you. But if you're going to stay for like a year and a half, 2 years, you might be better off just learning language. You will definitely be better off learning a language. It's not that hard to learn. Now, I'm not fluent in Korean. That's a whole nother video. We can go into that later. But when I first got here, I was learning Korean at like a very impressive rate, and I'm not the smartest guy in the world. There's people that come over to Korea right now that have studied for a year, and they're pretty fluent when they get here, or they're pretty well versed in the language when they get here. And then they just get closer to fluent as they spend time here. There's a couple of benefits that you have to talk about when you talk about learning Korean. One, Korean people are very, very prideful in their country, in their culture, and in their language. So if you learn Korean, you're kind of extending that olive branch to them. It builds a lot of respect. It makes people really, really take their time and pay attention to what you have going on. Even if you're not going to be here that long, it gives Korean people a nice warm and fuzzy if you try to learn a little bit of Korean.
Hey guys, this is my mom. Hi.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
Learning 안녕하세요, 반갑습니다 will go a long way just because they like to see that you're trying. It just does their heart good. Aw, man. So if you're going to be here for a while, learn a little bit of Korean. Last but not least is for you out there that aren't going to learn any Korean. If you're coming too quick or you're just not one of those people who wants to spend the effort and time to learn a language, hey, it's okay. No one can judge you. You too can still get over the language barrier. For one, the amount of Korean people that speak English is a bit of a surprise. They study it for school, they study it for work, and a lot of times you can be sitting up looking at a sign in the subway station trying to figure out where you're going to go. You'll get someone who comes up and asks you, "Do you need help?" in English. So you can still find yourself interacting just fine. I have two recommendations for people who are going to speak English to Koreans, though. One, keep in mind that it's their second language, so speak slowly, enunciate, and use less slang. Two, keep in mind that it's their second language, so sometimes they're not going to say things correctly. Sometimes they're going to say things a little off from what we're used to hearing. Try to take the context of the conversation and figure out what they're trying to say and make them feel easy about it, make them feel comfortable about it. Because the more comfortable they feel, the more comfortable they're going to be talking to you, and the easier time they're going to have communicating with you. So that's all I have for the language barrier, guys. Have you dealt with the language barrier here? Do you have any tips? Leave them in the comment section. Also, don't forget to check out the SeoulWeaver 5x20 post series. I'll leave the link in the description. Lastly, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at SeoulWeaver, and check us out on our SeoulWeaver's Facebook group. It's got some exclusive content going on over there because I jump on SeoulWeaver Facebook Live, and I put a lot of different posts and things like that in there. Old friends that will jump in and chime in and share information about Korea, so definitely a good spot to kind of hang out and chat back and forth. So thanks for giving me a few minutes of your time, guys. I'm gonna get out of here because it's hot as Hades under these lights, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much. Have a good one.